It just got very real as we hear the latest on Connor McDavid's contract extension there, as McDavid explains his reasonings to the Edmonton media as to why he hasn't done anything so far yet when putting his name on the dotted line for that contract. All that more today here on Oilers Digest there. We're still waiting. Why haven't you signed Connor? Why have you not signed the new contract there? But again, lots of patience playing into the decision for his future in Edmonton or in the National Hockey League as a whole there. But we will get into that on the channel there. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so, as 74.5% of you watching these videos haven't hit that button down below. So for any and all Oiler news, game previews, training camp news, we will have it for you here on the channel there. And we will have something for you next week there, as the Oilers in Flames will be playing 2 rookie games prior to the main training camp there, Friday, September 12th in Edmonton at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday, September 14th in Calgary at 4 p.m. there. So, you know, the best and the brightest of Edmonton's future, we will see those in those 2 games there. And again, we will have that covered on the channel there, but not just the rookie games there, but the captain skates have begun there in Edmonton from Tony Brar. You know, it's been a while since we've heard from Tony. You know, it's been a very quiet summer from him, but he is back there, one of the main guys in oil country there. Tony Brar, always love to see some news from him. You know, the downtown community arena was home to the captain skates there, and emphasis on the captain there, Connor McDavid, as we are still waiting for him to sign that new contract there in oil country. But again, he doesn't seem to be any rush whatsoever when it comes to making his decision there, saying, I've had a lot of very good years, and I wouldn't categorize last season as one of those. I'm excited to see how good I can be, motivated to play hockey at the highest level at the Olympics with Team Canada in Milan in February, and to continue to push this group to winning. That's where our focus is at, making sure our group is ready, whether people believe me or not when I say that. I feel like I've got lots to prove. I want to prove that scoring 50 or 60 is not a one-off. I've had 50 goals and I've had 100 assists, and I like the goals a little bit more there. So Connor McDavid, you know, being asked about, you know, his aspirations for this season, not just, you know, questions about the contract, as I'm sure he's very, very tired there. But again, the kind of caliber of player that he is, those questions about the contract, you know, they go without saying. But it's good to see him have some goals here set for the upcoming season, which, I mean, the Stanley Cup just goes without saying. But very, very excited there. But contract wise, you know, he's not tired of the noise at all. With me being me in this position, in this market, people are going to talk about it. That's understandable, and that is fair. You know, we've been at this a long time. We're here to play hockey. We're here to do a job, and if someone saying something or writing something prevents you from doing that, then maybe you're in the wrong business, the wrong line of work. It's white noise. That is all that it is there. So Connor McDavid, you know, not so much, you know, letting the outside noise get to him, you know, making it a distraction for the rest of the team there. Connor McDavid says, you know, the goals for the season are set for the team, and again, any outside noise doesn't affect them at all whatsoever there. But you can see, from NHL Update there, Brendan Clack there. I mean, he's bringing, you know, he's bringing us down to, you know, a level of, you know, don't worry too much there. If you read the tea leaves on Connor McDavid, it doesn't feel to me like he's considering leaving the Oilers at all by next summer. It sounds like a player who isn't sure if he believes in the future plan enough to go long term, which would be a 7-year contract, or create an opt out, well, which would be a 4-year contract for himself there. I mean, many projections were 4 years at around 16.5 million there, and those seem to be staying true by all of the NHL insiders there too. But again, the main question for McDavid was, hey, how long can this team put, you know, contending team around me as long as they can do it? I mean, he's got Draisaitl for the next 7 years. But I mean, Nugent-Hopkins is getting older, Hyman's getting older, Ekholm is getting older, even though he seems to be very, very healthy from the interview this afternoon there. But he's just, you know, kind of, you know, weighing out all of his options there, long-term, short-term, or no term at all. I mean, just a singular year in Edmonton. But again, he's weighing out all of his options there, and we're, you know, giving him his space. I mean, he's the kind of player that he is. There is no negotiations, but what there will be is patience there. And many people were sort of comparing Connor McDavid's contract uncertainty to John Tavares in the New York Islanders there. But I mean, these two teams, the situations entirely different there. McDavid going to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals there, despite losing. These Oilers know what it is to get to the finish line. Have they crossed it yet? No, but they know what it's like to get that grind year in year out there. And then you compare that to the New York Islanders when John Tavares left them for the Toronto Maple Leafs there. I mean, the best they got was a second round loss in 5 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning there, and then they missed out on the playoffs in Tavares' last year by just 1 point there, ironically enough, to the Toronto Maple Leafs there. But again, I'm not worried that McDavid all year long is going to be like, okay, we're going to get something done. We're going to get something done, and then, the trade deadline passes, doesn't get something done. The Islanders were very, very focused on getting an extension done for Tavares. And then eventually Tavares just, ended up snaking them on his way out to Toronto there. So, again, I wouldn't be worried about that far too much. I mean, Tavares never said, his intention was to win on Long Island there. Meanwhile, McDavid says, he has every intention to win in oil country there and lift the cup either in Rogers Place or on the road with the Edmonton Oilers there, saying, it's not about trying to make the most amount of money. I think my former agent knows that with Jeff Jackson. Given how the last negotiations went, it's about winning. It's about winning over and over again, and that's my priority. All with the understanding that I put a lot into this. We're trying to find a scenario that works for everybody in terms of my family security, a deal that makes sense for the team to continue to have success, which is very, very important there. My belief in this season, in the players this year, has never been higher. And the important thing here, the Friedman rumors that, the Oilers needed, personnel change, goaltending change, defensive change for McDavid to be happy, but he says nothing needs to change. Nothing. I don't need to see anything. Time is on our side, and I'm just not in a rush to make a decision here, saying there's a lot of thought going into it, and I think people should appreciate that, because when it's all said and done, we're not going to be feeling like, oh, we rushed into anything. It's going to be well thought out for both sides, as I'm sure the Oilers are doing as well. So I think people can appreciate the effort behind it there. So McDavid, this is the most outspoken we've seen him in quite some time there. So very, very encouraging words from McDavid there. And with the NHL salary cap increasing from $88 million last season to $95.5 million for this season, so on and so forth, $104 million for the year that McDavid's new contract would kick in, and then the year after that at $113.5 million. A shorter term contract may be more viable for McDavid there, but it was always assumed that Connor McDavid would sign a contract extension with the Oilers, and the smart money is that'll happen. But again, until then, there's just a little bit of uncertainty that creeps into your mind there. It's okay, there's just a smidgen in the back of your mind that goes, or should we be worried? But McDavid's words, Jeff Jackson's words, Bob Stauffer's words, so on and so forth there with everybody in the organization. We can hear so much from, from Frank Saravalli, Chris Johnston, Elliot Friedman, but really they don't have, a lot of intel that we don't know already there. So it's just a whole lot of patience in question marks until then there's, with the salary cap, McDavid, these short-term deals, he would reset the market every single time he goes to the bargaining table there. So for a player like that, he holds a lot of, chips in this situation. And again, when you're a player like that, you have to get your bag whenever you can. Sure, it's not about the money, but it's about the long-term financial security, not just for you, but your family as well. Sometimes, hockey's just a game, but, after hockey, life sort of picks up where you left off before you got into the NHL there. So for McDavid, again, not a whole lot of worry, but again, if, we go into, October and nothing's done, okay, I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, I go from, like, a 2 to maybe a 6 or a 7 there. But before we wrap up today's video, a huge congratulations there to Derek Ryan on his retirement from the NHL there. A former University of Alberta Golden Bear, lots of time spent in Europe there, 3 seasons in Austria, lots of time with, the Carolina Hurricanes, and unfortunately the Calgary Flames before coming home or not coming home, he's from Spokane, but rightfully in Edmonton there. finishing his career as an Edmonton Oilers. So congratulations to Derek Ryan there. Always one of my favorites in his short term as an Oiler there. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments, the newest words from Connor McDavid in his interview, not just with the Edmonton media in the scrum after the captain's skates, but also his TSN interview with Ryan Rishaug thereafter. Did his words change anything in your opinion there? Let me know down in the comments. I'm very, very curious to see what you all have to say and how your mood has changed in the past couple days. But enjoy the rest of your Friday night, folks. Take care. I'm out.